Steve Bannon was released from federal prison Tuesday, according to a source with knowledge, emerging just a week before Election Day to retake the helm of his weakened right-wing media platform. Like and subscribe NewzClub for more updates. Bannon, a right-wing podcast host and the chief executive of Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, has remained a strident supporter of the former president. Even as he reported to federal prison in Connecticut in July, Bannon insisted he would influence the presidential race from behind bars and that his War Room podcast would continue to energize the Trump base. Bannon was met early Tuesday morning by his daughter Maureen. He is expected to host his radio program later Tuesday morning. He was convicted in 2022 on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House Select Committee that investigated the January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol. He is continuing to appeal his conviction. While in prison, Bannon digitally kept in touch with a small group of loyalists, including some who served as guest hosts for the podcast. According to 2 sources familiar with the matter, Bannon would in part discuss news of the day in politics, including topics he thought about for the show, while Bannon's show is mainly seen as an energizer for the Trump base. Data from Edison Research's podcast metrics found that nearly half of Bannon's audience was made up of Republicans, but about a third of listeners were independents. On the War Room podcast, a cast of fill-in hosts cheered Bannon's return. Prominent election conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell offered a deal on his MyPillow products to celebrate Bannon's release: free pillows, plus shipping and handling, with the relevant discount code. Winters then turned her focus to the presidential race, claiming, "It's not an election, it's ballot warfare." It's the kind of incendiary rhetoric Bannon embraced and promoted as an early voice in the Stop the Steal movement in 2020. In May, Bannon claimed on his podcast that they're going to do everything to steal this election, as he reiterated the baseless claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. Bannon is one of the most talented broadcasters among his peers, in terms of taking current events, pulling out a kernel of truth from them, and then spinning an elaborate conspiracy theory on top of it, which then becomes the fuel for the action that's taken by the grassroots in response to these lies. To mark his release, Bannon's team said he plans to hold a press conference Tuesday afternoon in New York. Bannon is still facing other legal troubles, having been indicted on charges of money laundering, fraud and conspiracy in a separate New York State case in 2022. He has been accused of cheating donors to a fundraiser that promised to build a portion of a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Bannon has pled not guilty to the charges.